Hey everyone, we have some results from Japan, and this is the Chiho Cup from Sendai. There was some interesting stuff at the top. If you see this pie graph, pie chart breakdown, you might also see some weird stuff, and we'll kind of go through that. First off, let's just quickly go through it. There were like 8 bastions in top cut. That means half of the top cut was fully bastionized. And then you have things like Mushi King at 4, Gandiva and Orphist, Willista. I think the Mushin Kings are more due to the diversity cut kicking in. You have the 2 Zorgas, even Tamayura, and then just a bunch like Yotsuba and all that. So let's kind of just go through like what was at the end of Swiss, right? So first off, undefeateds went to the 4th place, but first place we have first place we have the training tools, then Accord and Willista. Kind of 2 out of the 3 we already know. Well, actually maybe 3 out of the 3 is like pretty standard. And the second place team, these also went undefeated, was a Messiah, Bavsagra, and Zorga. So this is a totally weird lineup, and basically anyone that took Zorga in their team now just feels really bad because there is at least one Zorga top. But you'll see later there's another one. Then third place we have the Minerva, Yotsuba, and Mikazuki, right? So 2 very strong decks there as well as a third deck that is like lol, Yotsuba. And then 4th place we have, this one is like pretty meta, I have to say. More meta than a lot of the others. They went Gandiva, Zorga, and Orphist. So now, if you brought a Gandiva and an Orphist, or you went more meta with your team placements, then you got destroyed. Like, it's just sad times for you. Then onto the diversity cut space, we have a Lakia, Bastion Accord, and Mushi King. So only the Bastion Accord was in the top cut, so these are all the ones. Then we have Jet, Yotsuba, and Overlord. These guys are weird. The Jets and the Overlord weren't in top cut at all, but the Yotsuba actually was. This is pretty much like I feel like if you bring this team and go X1, you are basically guaranteed into top cut. And then we have Omina Gruzio, Tamayura, and Ballista. So again, this is like 2 weird decks plus a meta deck. So I feel like, again, X1, you automatically get in. And then again with the 8th place deck with Claudine, Snake, right? The Snake, and then the Bastion Accord, right? And then moving on, we start to see, I guess, like, I think I think these are still all X1s. There's basically a lot of X1s that made it in. They're all X1s, but they're only like one diversity cut. Diversity cut 1, right? Where they only have like 1 in the cut. So you have Mushi King, Gandiva, right? Tamayura. This one was the Hexa Orb. This guy they just ran a weird grade 3 for this one to kind of feel like get an extra ride line point. But they ran Dianos as well. And then this one is Yambagari. Which is less popular. I guess like less popular. This is where like the 2 diversity points start getting into place. Where you bring 2 meta decks and then 1 like non-meta deck, and then you kind of have to pray. That's kind of it. So at 12th place is where it started kicking in, and then the last 4 spots slightly more meta, right? Bastion, well, double Bastion, and then the Orphist. So Orphist and Accord is the main ones, as well as just normal Bastion. And then you see this one's Aurora, Chaos, and Mushi King. Yep. So that was pretty much Swiss. But let's kind of go back to the undefeateds. So then what actually won the whole event was actually, let's go back here, was actually the Messiah, Bavsagra, and Zorga masks, right? So this team, pretty much like, you would think it is a diversity team, but they went undefeated, and then they consolidated into 1st place, which is like the best kind of spot you want to be. And then the rest of these decks are pretty much just diversity decks in a way. So, the Amina Gruzio team, and then you got the Claudine team, and then, the Lakia team. Not like they don't deserve it. It's, in a way, they built their teams as well as they brought the decks that are pretty good against a lot of the board, right? Right now, a lot of the format is just about popping off ASAP, and you're going to see these decks do that. So let's kind of just take a look. So we'll look at the full top 4 list, because basically everything interesting was in the top 4, I want to say. All the interesting decks were there. So let's kind of take a look at it. First off, we have the winning team. Apparently, Shin is a model. Look at him. Very, very good looking. But he brought up a side deck. So this is kind of if you watch DF stream, you'll know that this is more a one-trick deck. Like, he's a one-trick player, so he only plays Messiah. So this isn't really a meta relevant, more like player relevant. Yeah. So just bring Messiah. I feel like in this meta is like kind of not the best. But then let's look at the Bav Saga line, right? So this one is just straight up, you know, Bav Saga does something really easy, and that is just pop off, like go really fast. You can, and this is, I feel like this play just is a very, very, how do you say it? Like Bav Saga, if you look at the rarity of this deck, it is insane. But also running a weird blitz order. So this one is when you put it on the, when you play it right, you give one of your cards in the Guardian Circle return to hand. So when it gets retired, it goes back to hand instead. And also gets plus 10k shield. So it translates to you being able to use some of your pieces. They become big shield, but they also go back to your hand. Of course, it does become like a 2-for-1, and you can't use it on Sentinels because it specifically says. But it does kind of, it does give you some extra shield power, as well as, you know, let you kind of commit a bit earlier, and then just like have at least just something in your hand and don't feel bad like guarding with it, right? So okay, that's kind of interesting. And then the last deck here is just the Zorga deck. The Zorga deck is also interesting when you look at it. There is no Keen Severing, so no multi-attack in this build. And also no grade 1s, which is quite interesting. But I guess the only grade 1 you need is like a PG, right? You just keep on rezzing the PG and then bouncing it, or you can even keep it on the board to boost, which is nice. I guess it's cool. It's also, if you look at it, it's a 4, it's like a 4 TD, like a 4 Sentinel, 3 Blitz Order build that we're kind of seeing. This is actually, this is pretty much similar to DJ Zura's deck, except from like all the way in from, you know, Toronto, except they get the Misty Arc Habitat. So it's very similar to that build. No Keen Severing, just kind of go in, pop off, do damage, and I mean, yeah, who needs boosters, right? If you really need a booster, just call out a trigger and just boost with that. So, all right, very, very, very interesting. Very meta relevant too, right? You just kind of want to go really fast in this current format, just to kind of pop off all the Gandivas and all the other slower decks. Yeah, and even against fast decks, you still want to go fast because you want to match their speed. Next we have is the Amina Gruzier deck. So very good. I guess it's just nice diversity. You have the Clean Sweep here as well. That's kind of the main tech. Apart from that, pretty Amina Gruzier-like, right? But then here comes the Tamiyura, right? I guess nothing really much to say. It's like a high front build, but the whole deck is just pretty much Tamiyura plus the grade 2 like brawler person, and then yeah, it's kind of that. And then lastly the Ballista. So kind of a more straightforward kind of deck, I guess. Well, not a straightforward deck, like more straightforward team. You know, play the Ballista, then play 2 decks that you're comfortable with that can do decently. Then in third place we have the Claudine list. So this list is quite interesting, I have to say. You know, you just build a bunch of plant tokens. You have the mushroom guy that makes a bunch of plant tokens, and then, you know, you have you just have things that call stuff, and they're also running 4 of the order that just gives a bunch of your 5k power cards plus 10k. So you can just rush, right? You can actually rush ASAP really quickly, and that's I guess it's a recipe for success, right? When I see a deck that runs something like this that doesn't really, that it's like a straight up neg for power, it just means that you want to end the game really quickly, and that is pretty much what this current meta is just about. You know, pushing as much as possible, trying to deal damage. Who cares about the long game? Because the longer you go, you're gonna lose to Gandiva anyway. So just push damage quicker, and then just watch them feel bad. Also, like no blitz orders, no Adios Sanctitude, because they are running like quite a few blitz orders, like 3 blitz orders here. I think 4 blitz orders actually, so quite a few. But yeah, very, very meta relevant deck again, right? I feel like, you know, you're gonna see a lot of these decks that just kind of, if we can't deal with any late game Gandiva, because like late game Gandiva and Willisty can't deal with that, you just gotta kill them fast, right? And then here's a snake, Megalanozuchi. This deck pretty much just functions the same. Big pop off at turn 3, and then just, you know, finish them, right? Finish them. And then lastly, the Bastion Cordless. This Bastion Cordless is actually interesting as well. Like, so much interesting decks. They're not running Alden tech because they have this, I think it's called like Particle Lights Dragon. This is from DBT11. It's like a common. But basically, it's just when you attack a Vanguard, right? If you've played a normal order this turn, you can counterblast 1 and draw a card and it gets 5k. So it's like Alden Light, right? But it like you don't get like the double power in a way that Alden can get when it like does 2 attacks, but you don't need 2 CB in a Soul Blast, which is pretty good. You also don't need to call down a grade 3. But I guess like I think the most important part is the double, like just needing 1 CB is pretty good, because you just don't you don't need to commit as much, have as much CB available, right? And it'll just like use the effect. Sometimes when you have to play down an Alden without using its draw effect, you just feel kind of bad. It's not once per turn though, so if you restand it and attack, you can use the effect again, but the power is only for the battle. But you get to get a double draw if you really want to for like, you know, 2 CB, which is kind of matches Alden without the Soul Blast, right? So overall, it just feels like it's Alden Light. It's pretty good, I think. Also running 1 returner, but they're also running red OT as well. So overall, pretty interesting list. I like the Bastion list that runs like 1 Bastion Prime, because with this deck you're running like 4 Fox, right, to match up with the Dragon here. But then, you know, you have the 4-bit ult to search off your like 1-up Prime. So when you actually want to go into Prime, you can. If you don't, then you know you kind of use Prime as like either like a finisher or whatever. You don't. It's good to have. You don't 100% need it. You can sit on a cord and still feel pretty good, especially on certain matchups where like they retire you. Then a cord is just better, right? It's just better. And then in 4th place we have the Lakia list. I don't really have much to say about Lakia. I think it's cool, but definitely not my favorite pick. But if you're in a diversity cut meta, then sure. I don't think there'll be that many people undefeated with Lakia, so easy slot in. Then next is the Musha King. Musha King be Musha King, right? Again, a lot of better decks out there. I don't think it's that likely to see a Musha King in top 4 undefeated, for example. It might. It's definitely a not as safe pick, I have to say. But it does also pop off pretty early, so there's that. And then lastly, have the Bastion Accord. So I don't really like this one as much as the other one, just because the other one's showing more text. But this is a much more standard list of Bastion Accord with like the 3 primes and all that. So that's pretty much that. So anyway, that is all the pretty much lists we're looking at today, in my opinion. The rest is just kind of whatever in a way. Like we've seen all the All Fists. I think Yurtsba, what are you looking at Yurtsba? It's like pretty much 4 of everything except 3 of the starter. And then you have like 3 of any in like a flex slot you want. Pretty much seeing all the Overlords, Hexa Orbs. Not really gonna bother with the Token Rambus, to be fair. And then just, yeah, I think everyone's sick of Gandivas already. Maybe Aurora, but yeah, that's kind of it. Anyway, let me know what you think. These are all from Japanese Decklog, by the way. Go take a look at that. If you think, what do you think of DBT12 meta? All right, especially in Japan. Do you like it or not? All right. Anyway, see you later. Bye.